Wonderful game. Arizona wins. I didn't even. I show up to Gamble and am told Terrace Reed's going to be out. I'm like, really? He's out? Yeah, ankle. End of the BYU game. I was like, well, that changes things. And when I heard the news, I was like, well, between Krivas and Peat, like they're gonna have a real shot at taking this game here. But we'll see how it goes. Gamble at its best, in my opinion, is every arena at its best at the high major level. Almost everyone is obviously very, very good. But at its best versus every other arena at its best, I think it's top 5 in the country because it's I love the build of the place. You can fit enough people that it still feels intimate. Just everything about it. So I knew that the building would be ready. $2 Miller Lite night. It was ready. The lines were indeed biblical. And credit to Tommy Lloyd, Arizona, hopping on a bird, getting there, and getting this win. Plenty to get to about the actual game, but just a few notes and stats here. Arizona. I was curious when they were leading in the game. I sent a note over to our research team who was able to dig this up. So credit for them for a weird ask for me. But I had to know. I was like, if Arizona wins this game, this is going to be their 3rd win against a top 15 team in the first 5 games, and none of those games are at home. Have we even seen this once in the past 25, 30 years? Turns out we had seen it twice. The Gonzaga team from 2020, 2021 that Tommy Lloyd was an assistant on did it in the COVID season. And then Arizona in 01-02, which just an absurd start to the season. Teams do not schedule like that anymore. Also did it. Those are specifically 3 of your first 5 victories are high majors away from home. The 96-97 Arizona team actually did it as well, but one of those games were at home. Extremely impressive for them to have done this. GP movement number 1. We'll get to that in just a second there. Tommy Lloyd has 24 wins through the first 4 and change seasons of his career against ranked opponents. That's already the 2nd best mark ever for wins by a head coach to start a career in your first 5 seasons. Izzo holds the record. He won 31 against ranked opponents in his first 5 seasons. Lloyd can conceivably catch him this year. Shockingly, this was the first time Arizona won a game in which both teams were ranked in the top 5 since the 01 Final Four when they beat, coincidentally enough, Michigan State. And Arizona is the first team in the last 30 years with at least 2 wins against top 3 teams in the first 5 games of the season. Of course, when Florida was ranked number 3, they did it, and UConn is currently ranked number 3. Mighty impressive overall. As for the game and how it played out, Arizona led for much of the night. They were able to maul UConn on the glass at a level. Even Tommy said afterward, he said something like that literally might be unheard of. They outpaced him by 20. They didn't have Reed. Krivas just 8. Peat did well, 16 as well for Peat. But Jaden Bradley, again, he is the guy. He is becoming Mr. Clutch of college basketball. He had that up and under with 30 to go, 25 to go that gave him the 3-point cushion. There were other plays beside all of that. He is super humble. Got a chance to speak to him and interview him after the game. And it might be Braden Smith and then Jaden Bradley for the best guards in the country right now to start the season. Pete's awesome. Put up a double-double. Did some really good stuff there. But Bradley is the kind of player that is quickly moving into the how many more guys would you rather have the ball in their hands in a tight game versus a good team in the final 2+ minutes. The list is short, and you might only get to one player, and that's Braden Smith, before you get to Jaden Bradley. So extremely, extremely impressed with what he's been able to do. What were your takeaways on what happened down there in Shores?
Well, yes, they did dominate them on the glass on both ends, but I don't think that's hard to figure out. Like you mentioned, Terrace Reed was out. He's their UConn's leading rebounder and averages nearly twice as many rebounds as anybody else on the team.
Also the leading scorer right now, too.
Yeah, so you're missing him. That's tough. And then you're also missing your 5-star freshman, Braylon Mullins, right? So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but could you reasonably say UConn was missing 2 of its best 5 players?
I think you might even be able to say UConn was missing 2 of its 4 best players, and I even asked Hurley. I'm yes, I'll let you keep going, but I'm interviewing. I'm just talking to Dan afterward, and I kind of got the phone like this, so I'm like, he can see them recording. So I go, if Terrace is playing tonight, what do you think? What do you think happens? And so he looks at the phone, looks at me, he goes, It was one of those looks. He was actually in very good spirits.
Sure.
He had the moment where he tore up the paper.
Yeah.
Don Memoria, a great writer who's covered UConn forever. But it was just, I just wanted to see what he was going to say, and instead he gave me a very comical, classic Dan kind of look there. Not having Reed was a huge factor. I happen to believe that if Reed was playing in the game, UConn probably would have found a way to narrowly get a win. But I do want to acknowledge that Arizona did control this for much of the night. So it's entirely feasible that wouldn't have happened. To get the win, as I wrote, you never have to apologize or complain. If you go on the road against a high major opponent and get a win, you don't have to apologize for that. But we can acknowledge that UConn was obviously shorthanded.
I agree with every bit of that. And it's funny to hear you say that Dan had that sort of interaction with you, because I guess I went on HQ yesterday morning, and the clips that were making the rounds were like he seemed upset, like really like he was taking it hard. And I'm sure that's true, because he takes everything hard. Like that he's an emotional guy, and he lives and dies with it. And that is a part of what makes him one of the best, if not the best, college basketball coaches working today. So, like, I was asked about it, and I just sort of said exactly what I just said. But it is interesting to hear that he was okay. Like I think he should be okay. He's got one of the best teams in the country.
Yep.
He's got one of the best teams in the country, shorthanded. When they get healthy and whole, UConn's going to be there. When I promise you, on Selection Sunday, when we're talking about teams that are equipped to maybe go do this thing, I'll be surprised if UConn's not a legitimate part of that conversation. I agree with you that if you're Arizona, you don't have to apologize for any of this. You scheduled the game. You don't know whose ankle is going to be hurt by the time you get there. I love that Tommy was this aggressive with the non-league schedule, because I wish everybody with big brands in college basketball would be. You can afford to take some losses. And I love the conversation he had with you. I had never heard this phrasing before. I liked it. I'd never heard it from a basketball coach. He said, yeah, you sometimes you get a good hop to just field it turn two. Yeah. I love that, because it's like, oh, this is easy or easier than it should have been. Oh, this is right in my glove. Let's just, we don't have to apologize for the good hop. We didn't have to go into the hole for it. It came to us. Let's just turn two and get out of here. And I love thinking of it that way. Yeah, they're shorthanded, and yeah, they're going to be better than they were tonight. And we may look up in February and we go, oh man, thank God we didn't have to play that team. But we went into Gamble Pavilion tonight and beat UConn. Like, we got a good hop. We turned two with it. I'm proud of my guys. I love that sentiment. And then him talking about Jaden Bradley with you. He was like, listen, Braden Smith gets all his flowers, because he does, because he's been historically great and is perhaps on his way to breaking an all-time big NCAA record. But Tommy was like, I got a special one too. And he was best player on the court type stuff at UConn. And anytime you're playing a Dan Hurley team in a road environment and you've got the best player on the court, then you're in a good spot.
Unquestionably. And yeah, Bradley, just real nice young man to talk to. Honestly, humble to a fault. I was actually kind of teasing him a little bit. I was like, you got to give me something, man. You know what you just did. You heard that building. And he gave me a couple solid quotes. They hit one big shot. It felt like 5 in the moment and all that stuff. But truly committed to the process. I had him. He's the one. I'm gonna bang my chest a little bit about this, because I knew that I'm not gonna look it up here in real time. We got to keep the show moving. He was lower on our preseason top 101 players than I wanted him to be, and I had him in my top. I want to say I had him in my top 15, because I thought that he was going to be so crucial to what they were going to do, and as a good two-way player, and just the most egregious miss of the entire preseason. No Arizona player, period, but Bradley specifically wasn't named to the preseason All Big 12 first team, which was 10 players deep, 10 players, and Bradley didn't get named to it. That's aging terribly. He had 20. Remember, he had 20 plus, not just against UConn, but against Florida as well. And 2 more things, then we can move on to the Bama Illinois one if you want. Koa Peat. This was from our research team. Good little nugget here. So he had 16 and 12. Now, freshmen are not exactly always going to find themselves in a situation when they're involved in a game with 2 teams in the top 5. So it doesn't happen every week, obviously. but Peat is now on this list. In the past 25 years, freshmen to have a double-double, their first of their career, to come in a game where both teams are in the top 5. Peat this year. Zion did it in 2018-19. Omari Spellman, interestingly enough, did it with Nova in 2017-18. Then you got Kevin Love in 07-08 and Greg Oden 06-07. Some really, really, really good company with Koa Peat there. I thought it was impressive that he just did that and still kind of had a little bit of a workmanlike kind of game. And then, well, we're going to circle back to this, I think, plenty of times this season. But the fact that Arizona did it again, and by did it again, I mean one away from home against a team ranked 3rd in the country and only hit 2 3-pointers. They did the same thing against Florida, 2 threes. UConn on the road, they only hit 2 threes and they win. They're going to get clipped this season by a couple of different teams, and their lack of ambition from firing from beyond the arc, that's going to pick them off a couple of times. But this is why among the many reasons why I love this sport, I love how you can build teams and have different styles. Styles absolutely make fights. That's the maxim in boxing. And the one other sport where it applies more than any other is college basketball, because of how roster builds, coaching tactics, schemes. Tommy Lloyd is not looking to fire off 53s a game. It's just the way that what he has, who he has on his roster, and it's working so far. I don't know if this is going to be a bugaboo that prevents them from doing what I'm projected in the preseason and making a Final Four, but I am so impressed that they are able to just take this method and go with it. And to be clear, they also quite clearly wanted to take advantage of the opportunity at the last minute. They didn't know they weren't going to face Reed, and without him being on the floor, pound the paint, they did. They were plus 18 in the paint versus UConn. All of it paid off.
I love all that about college basketball as well. Like, you can win a national championship playing really fast, or you can win a national championship quite literally playing as slow as anybody else in the country. Like, you wouldn't even be allowed to play that way in the NBA. Like, a front office would not even allow you to play as slow as you can play in college basketball and be successful. And the same thing with the 3-point shooting. Like, you would not even be allowed to play the way Arizona plays college basketball in the NBA. It just would not be allowed. Like, they would tell the coach, you can't keep doing this, and if he tried to, they would fire him. But in college basketball, it works.
He's not. By the way, he's not exaggerating on it.
That is exactly what would happen.
What would happen unless somehow you could get yourself to the 2 seed in your respective conference. It's just not how it's done at that level.
No, and so. As noted, I did move Arizona to number 1 in the top 25 and 1, not because I believe it is what you had to do.
I'm proud of you.
Other people have left. I wanted you to be proud of me. That influenced me.
I'm proud of you because I think,
because you know how hard that was for me.
3-4 years ago, I don't think you would have done it. And especially after Purdue had the struggles against Memphis, to me, it's just not arguable at this point. Arizona is the number 1 team in college basketball because of what it's done. And frankly, I like rewarding. Like, it's daily rankings. Okay, we got a long way to go. But Tommy Lloyd opted in to the reigning national champions. He didn't know they'd be it when they got the game, but he opted into that in Vegas, then UCLA in its backyard. And I understand that Arizona had some decent fan contingent there. I'm not oblivious to that. And then you go fly across the country to UConn. You do that early in the season. You win all 3 of them. Absolutely, you deserve a 1 next year, Nate.
And that's where I'm at. You're right. Probably a few years ago, I wouldn't have done this. And I'm not even like, I could have not done this and defended it easily. Yeah. I could have just said, hey, listen, I still think Purdue's the best team in the country. They're undefeated. They've also got a big win, one over Alabama. And I think if they played Arizona's schedule, they would have the exact same record as Arizona. I'm now going to move off of Purdue because Arizona went out and scheduled in an unusual way and has executed against it. I could make that argument easy, no problem. But I wanted to reward ambition, aggressiveness. Not to imply that any of this stuff is that important, all right? But I like what Tommy told you. Like, we're not afraid to play these games, and this is the kicker. We're not afraid to lose them. Like, okay, we might lose the game. So what? It's fine. We'll be fine. I love that mindset. This is a long season with a bunch of games. This isn't the BCS era of college football where if you took 1 loss early, it really might keep you from competing for a national championship. There is nothing that's going to happen to you in November outside of your star player getting hurt that is going to keep you from competing for a national championship if you are otherwise good enough to do it. I love that Tommy has adopted that mindset. And when you make the schedule and then go 5-0 against it, I'm happy to reward you for it. Arizona, #1 in the top 25 and 1.